Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our City of Mount Pearl Public Council meeting for February 20th, 2024. I don't see anything outside the kit, but council I see loaded into our various paraphernalia called electronics. We have an agenda and I'm asking for a motion. Thank you, Councillor Locke, from you, and second by Councillor Lane. All in favor? And those opposed? And the motion is carried. Thank you very much. Now we'll do the lands acknowledgement. We begin today's public council meeting by respectfully acknowledging the province of Newfoundland and Labrador as the ancestral homelands of many diverse populations of Indigenous peoples, including the Biotech, who have contributed to 9,000 years of history on the island of Newfoundland. Today, this province is home to diverse populations of Indigenous and other people, and we acknowledge with respect the diverse histories and cultures of the Mi'kmaq, Innu, and Inuit. We honor this beautiful land together as we strive for collective healing and true reconciliation. Council, you see before you there the public council meeting, but for just a quick minute, if I could. We heard the news yesterday that Councillor Laurie, former deputy mayor of the town of Paradise, I think a three-term councillor, she succumbed to an illness that she's been struggling with courageously for the past month, if not for a year or more. So I think we should acknowledge our colleague because we know how difficult this job is in terms of managing our health, our family lives, and our professional lives. And I'm just asking for a moment of silence. Thank you. Council, before you is the public council minutes from February 6, 2024. Is there any errors or omissions? Hearing none, before we consider any business arising, I'll call for a motion to approve the minutes, moved by Councillor Rantoul and seconded by Councillor Rice. Thank you very much. All in favor? Anybody opposed? And that motion's carried. Council, quote the number in the agenda, or sorry, in the minutes or the action report if you wish to discuss any business arising. Where Red Canada Day was February 13th of 2024. And we did get a proclamation request that came in between council meetings. So given the timing, I do believe we lit up City Hall that evening. We lit it up in red. That was a stormy day or pre-storm day. I'm thinking it was Storm Eve, we'll call it, right? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to read the proclamation. There's nobody here to attend to it, but it's still worth considering because heart disease is the #1 killer of women worldwide and the leading cause of premature death for Canadian women, a fact unknown to many women and their healthcare providers. And whereas the Canadian Women's Heart Health Alliance is an organization of volunteer health professionals and patients working hard to improve women's heart health, and whereas Wear Red Canada Day is celebrated annually to raise awareness for all Canadians, but especially Canadian women, to be mindful, curious, and proactive in the management of their heart health and wellness. And whereas we want to see better prevention, diagnosis, and care, and fewer women dying prematurely from heart disease. Therefore, I, the Mayor of Mount Pearl, on behalf of Mount Pearl City Council, we do hereby proclaim February 13th as Wear Red Canada Day. And this is, folks, kind of along the theme of what the Heart and Stroke Foundation used to do. They always pick February for the heart acknowledgement month in their particular mandate because February is the Valentine's month and the heart is significant, especially in terms of romance and relationships by all kinds, on February 14th. So we're here to proclaim that. Anybody want to comment on it? Because it is a health issue facing not only women, but all of us because of the nature of the disease. Councillor Fry?
Yes, I'm glad to see this here because I think it's important that people understand the difference. Like women and men often experience different symptoms when experiencing a heart episode. So to have this like this brings attention to women in particular for that reason. You know, not every heart attack is the throb pain and the pain in the arms. I mean, it could be something a lot more subtle. So I'm really happy to see this here. I think it's very important. And I think it's also important to note that during winter months, the Heart and Stroke Foundation say that the heart attack number of heart attacks increased by 10%. Basically due, and of course, we've had a lot of heavy snow around here lately. So, you know, it's a real risk, but glad to see this here. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Randall, please.
Your Worship, yes, it's great to see awareness here. A couple of years ago, my sister-in-law had a heart attack, and at that time, we were kind of surprised that she had the heart attack, and we didn't see it coming. But one of the things, if it seems to be, as a guy has a pain in his chest or it goes down his arm, everybody keeps on asking, exactly, are you having a heart or are you having this? But it seems like there's more symptoms, different symptoms for when a lady has a heart attack. So I think when you look at this, there's more awareness. The more awareness you have that you are having a heart attack, best we can do is, letting people know more and more about this. It's, and ask that question, how you feeling and so on and so forth. So it's great to see this. More awareness. Thank you, Your Worship.
All right. Thank you very much. That was brought to us, by the way, by the Canadian Women's Heart Health Centre. And glad to bring it in today from all of us. You can never take your health for granted. We are moving on to committee reports in the agenda, the Recreation and Community Safety Committee. Councillor Locke, I believe.
Thank you, Mayor. We have 6 items here in our committee report. I'll take the first 3 and then turn the last 3 over to Councillor Fry. The first has to do with our 42nd annual Mount Pearl Frosty Festival. We all know that it spanned from the 9th of February to the 17th. And just to say, it was a huge success despite some of the weather delays. That certainly didn't dampen the spirits of our volunteers, our Frosty board, and certainly all of our residents and non-residents that came out. I had the pleasure of attending the final snowball dinner and dance, and I had a couple across from me from Gould's, and they just love coming to the Frosty Festival. And the birthday party for Frosty's birthday, again, it's just so well attended, such a great family event. And the Pirates and Princess breakfast, or Princess and Pirates, I'm not sure which goes first, but they come dressed in costumes. And the comment that I had this year from a couple of folk was how nice it was. It was such a nice family event. And a couple of people pointed out that there was 4 generations there. I was there with my grandchildren, but there were great grandparents there. So you had 4 generations in attendance, and it had a real nice feel to it. And someone said it had the Mount Pearl touch, which I took as a huge compliment, that they were very, very satisfied with that. So again, I just want to, as we always do, extend a sincere thank you to our Frosty board, especially our chairperson, Denise French, this year. And of course, all the board and the contingent of volunteers that we have coming out. It's a nice way to break up the winter. And I got to say, the block party this year that we had out in City Hall on, was that Saturday afternoon, 1 to 4. We had fires going, roasting marshmallows, beautiful cookies from Rocket Bakery. I mean, they weren't cookies. They were like a mini loaf, right? You could feed a family of 4 on a cookie. And the music, we killed the connection. And it was just such a nice community feel to it. So I just want to commend, again, everyone involved at the Frosty Festival. And I look forward to next year's events. That's our first item. Second for our committee, Mayor, is speaking of the Mount Pearl Frosty Festival. This has to do with recommending approval that we release the second and final installment of the festival's operating grant. And this is in the amount of $32,500. And this is as per our memorandum of understanding between Frosty Festival Incorporated and the City of Mount Pearl. And I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Locke, and thank you. Second by Councillor Fry. Any comments or questions? The horse is kind of out the gate, right? And Councillor Locke did a great job talking about how successful the festival was. But it makes us proud, I think, as community leaders that, for 32.5 a year, times 2, I should say, and all the energy from the volunteers, all the money and comes in from the sponsorship, it's a really nice, neat, tidy festival. And, very, very well run financially, because the 2 days that were canceled because of the weather were insured. So when that all settles, Even though the events didn't go ahead, it didn't create great losses for the festival and therefore perhaps the city. So I'm grateful for that. Council, any further comments, or do you want to save it for the round table? Round table? Okay. All right. All in favor? Those opposed? Thank you. Motion carried. Back to you.
Thank you, Mayor. Our third item has to do with the Admiralty House Communications Museum. And we are recommending approval to release the first installment to our museum's operating subsidy in the amount of $57,500. And again, this is according to the memorandum of understanding between the museum and the city of Mount Pearl, and I so move.
Again, moved by Councillor Locke and second by Councillor Fry. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
And contrary-minded? It's carried as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll turn it over to Councillor Fry.
Thank you, Councillor Locke. So the next two items on our agenda are for grant applications. The first one is for the Accessible Communities Grant application, and it's for the Department of Municipal and Provincial Affairs. And we're looking for a portable vertical lift for the Mount Pearl Glacier. And the department is recommending that the City of Mount Pearl submit an Accessible Communities Grant application to the Department of Municipal and Provincial Affairs for the portable vertical lift, as I mentioned, in the amount of $22,906.98, inclusive of HST. And this is to add to the existing Mount Pearl Glacier Arena stage setup. And it's a wonderful addition, and I so move.
Moved by Councillor Fry, seconded by Councillor Locke. This is part of our accessibility plan, I believe. Anybody want to comment on that? If not, I will ask the CAO. I think this is part of some very important work we've done in the last few months, started the fall. I think the plan was put in place the winter. I know Ms. Walsh is part of it, so is Councillor Rice. But this is one of the building blocks towards that plan.
Thanks, Your Worship. Yeah, we've been doing a lot of work around the city to improve on our accessibility. We had an accessibility committee throughout the fall that was looking at various initiatives. And then we launched our accessibility plan. So this is a very big step in ensuring that all of our events are more accessible for performers, and that we don't have those concerns around stages and access to the stage. So this lift would be an important asset to have for our events in the city.
Thank you very much. Any further comments before I call the motion? All in favor? Motion contrary-minded. Motion carried.
The second one is a special assistance grant application, also with the Department of Municipal and Provincial Affairs. And this is for modification of existing floor and dashboard system, also in the Mount Pearl Glacier Arena. So the department is recommending that the city submit a special assistance grant application to the Department of Municipal and Provincial Affairs for the modification of the existing floor and dashboard system at the glacier in the amount of $27,468.90, inclusive of HST. And this would be a cost shared ratio of 40-60, with the municipal share of $18,312.60. And I so move.
Again, moved by Councillor Fry. Thank you. And second by Councillor Locke. Thank you again. Director Collins, where are we going? Because the dashboard, as I recall, is along the bottom of the boards surrounding the arena, or is it something like that? I hope I'm in the right church, maybe the wrong pew.
You're close. This is essentially to allow for para hockey. So when it comes to the clear boards in front of the benches, and for that, inside the benches, it's actually ice, not concrete. So you come out on your sledge on the ice. So that, again, for accessibility, this is to allow for that going forward.
Well done. It's not cheap, but it is money well invested. So I want to give credit to the committee for following up on this. Any other comments, folks? I'll call the Councillor Rice, because you were on the accessibility committee. Councillor,
Yes, no, I just want to make one comment, and I think it's phenomenal. We're moving forward and doing this, because when I guess when the arena was built, that the number 2 and number 1, it wasn't so prominent then. But I know that when I played hockey at the Paradise Arena, and the Paradise got it right when they built the arena, because I guess they put that into their plan when they put it out for bids. And I think it's phenomenal, because I mean, we went out there back a few years ago, we watched the four teams, Canada, I think Russia, Sweden, and US were there, right? Four teams, and it was so when you go in there now, your skates are on ice when you're in the sitting down the bench instead of rubber mats and stuff, and it's moving forward to the para hockey and stuff like that. So I think it's a great phenomenal for the city. Thanks.
Text, it's something that's growing in the region. Seeing no other hands, I'll call the question. All in favor? And those opposed? And that is carried as well. Back to you.
And finally, for us this evening is life skills slow cooker classes with Mary Hunt. Now, this is really exciting. The city is offering life skill cooking classes. Now, this is like slow cooking, and this is available for residents. So the program will focus on how to cook nutritional foods on a budget, developing a skill set to stretch budget to eat nutritionally. And of course, with the cost of groceries increasing, this is ever more important. Now, there are a number of sessions that are going to take place, but there are 2 for the winter. And the registration dates for this winter are this week as follows. Mount Pearl residents were yesterday, February 19th at 5 p.m. And open registration will take place on Wednesday, February 21st at 5 p.m. So just to give you an idea, the winter sessions will highlight, the first one is pulled pork sandwiches. And it's going to cover topics such as food skills and why it matters, and how to read food labels, and how long you can store food in your refrigerator and freezer, and expiry dates. Of course, we always struggle with expiry dates and best before dates, and as well as useful tips, websites, flyers, and apps. So it's important information and available to anybody who wants to come and learn how to make pulled pork sandwiches. The second winter session will be chili, and this will be information about beans, lentils, and the protein that they offer, meal planning and making a grocery list, stretching your food budget, unit pricing, how to follow a recipe, useful tips, website, flyers, and apps. This information is posted on our city's website as well as our Book King system for registration. And I encourage anybody who may be interested to reach out for more information and join these classes. And that's it for our report this evening, Your Worship.
Yes, Councillor Locke.
Thank you, Mayor. I was going to wait until the roundtable, but it's directly related to this. So as Councillor Fry outlined here, there's 2 of these sessions in the winter. There's going to be another 2 in the spring as well. So 4 in total. They're all scheduled for Tuesdays. I think April 16th and April 30th are the spring sessions. There's a registration cost of $10. And the 2 spring sessions, one you're going to make meatballs in marinara sauce, and then the last one is on cooking whole chickens. So it's a great opportunity here. And my understanding is Councillor Antle is going to be signing up from all 4 because he wants to hone his cooking skills, and his wife is delighted over that. But in all seriousness, the reason I wanted to speak this, I was speaking with a former student actually, who's a nutritionist at one of the Frosty events, and we were talking about seniors in particular and the nutrition of our seniors, and how many of our seniors who are either living alone or living as a couple are their nutritional levels are not always being met. And I mentioned her, of course, of Scott Hillier and the wonderful program he has with these suppers, these free suppers that they put around. And but my former student emphasized the importance of helping our seniors understand. And Councillor Fry mentioned, the increased costs of food. And it'd be nice. I want to encourage our seniors to get out to this. There's a cost of $10 registration for this. But again, I'm sure if the money is an issue for any seniors that would like to get out to that we could certainly reach out to the city, and we'll certainly help seniors with that if that is an issue here. And I think it'll be very worthwhile because, as we know, the cost of food has gone up. But I would like to see a step further, and I spoke with Director Collins on this, and we'll talk about it in greater detail tomorrow in our committee meeting. But I would like to reach out to the seniors, and as an educational process, and session, you know, let them know at their particular age, the important nutrients for males and females, and what foods that they could target on to get the essential nutrients and vitamins. And that goes hand in hand with this wonderful program here, slow cooker classes, which is a part of that educational process. So while it's open to everybody, as Councillor Fry said, residents and non-residents, I really want to put a plug out there to encourage our seniors that may need some assistance in this. Because again, I think it's a wonderful program. And as I said to Director Collins when I was speaking, we do have a very active, you know, seniors independence group that have 400 to 500 members. But there's thousands of other seniors in our city that are not a part of the seniors independence group. So I would like to, you know, and we'll talk about again further detail tomorrow at our committee level, to take some initiatives to reach the thousands of seniors that are not as active or as engaged or as informed as our members of the seniors independence group. So again, I think this is a great session. And as Councillor Fry said, all the details and information, times, I think they're being held in the multi-purpose room at the Summit Center. That's when they're all scheduled for. I think it's one from 10 to 12 in the afternoon and 6 to 8 in the evening, or 12 to 2 in the afternoon and 6 to, so there's 2 sessions per day. So there'll be ample opportunities for people to sign up for this. And that's it for me, Mayor. Thank you.
It's good. I must say, Councillor Antle, you're a pretty good fit for this program.
I noticed this, my cooking abilities may be going up. I was quite excited when I read this when I was going through my kit there a couple of days ago. And we've been all involved in the food banks. That's as almost with the seniors. We've been all working with the food banks. And a couple of times I'm at the food banks, I was thinking to myself, too bad we couldn't teach people how to cook, how to manage a budget properly. You know, sometimes you go to the supermarket and you can get a roast and it's quite cheap or quite inexpensive, but you don't know how to cook it properly. And I saw this course here and I said, well, what a great thing to offer to our food banks. You know, like you say, it's $10 and $10 is a cost. Well, maybe we can figure out some way around that. But what a great program that our staff who came up with this. You know, you really hit out the park because there's so many people could use something like this. You know, budget your food. I mean, everything is getting so expensive, but you know, it's good food. And you know, you can teach how to cook a roast or how to cook a pot of chili and the sort of things coming. And I'm quite happy that we did this. So kudos to our staff for coming through. Thank you. And I'll learn how to cook too. Thank you.
Well, Senior, already on the floor, sir. We have the Planning, Engineering, Development Committee report. Back to you.
Thank you, Your Worship. But the committee that counts. I mean, allow us a few things here for us. I'll do half and I'll pass on to my colleague, Councillor Rice. And the first one has to do with number 2 Stapleton Road. This is the old former pool and it's our underground storage tank removal. And there's a request for contractor change orders number 2 and 3. The committee was previously advised that the contract for hazardous building materials assessment and the oil tank assembly assessment and supervision at the site of the former pool, Stapleton Road, was awarded to Pynchon Limited. The change order number 2 is for additional field work for removal of the underground storage tank. The underground storage tank work removal required additional field work, and therefore a change order in the amount of $2,195.18, HST is included, is required to complete that work. And change order number 3, soil samples were collected and analyzed, and it was recommended that a phase 2 environmental site assessment be completed. To complete this environmental site assessment, Pynchon Limited has submitted a change order number 3 in the amount of $21,318, HST included. The Planning, Engineering, Development Committee recommend approval of change order number 2 for additional fieldwork for removal of underground storage tank in the amount of $2,195.18, and change order number 3, phase 2 environmental site assessment in the amount of $21,318, HST included, payable to Pynchon Limited. And I so move.
Second.
It is moved by Councillor Antle and Councillor Rice has seconded. Any questions, Council? As we ready the site for something further. Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Those opposed? Carried. Thank you.
And I never turned off my mic. Number 2 is with our new community center splash pad and the ice surface path and site upgrades. The committee was advised that as a part of the owner advisory scope of work, the consultant WSP completed a phase 1 and 2 environmental site assessment for the future site of our new community centre to be constructed at the Team Gushu complex. Additional investigation to identify the full extent of the contamination is required, and project cost to complete the work from WSP totals $41,154.85, HST included. This includes the cost associated with completing 9 boreholes and 2 monitoring wells. Depending on the test results, there is a possibility that fewer boreholes and monitoring will be required. In this case, the total cost for delineation would be reduced. The Planning, Engineering, Development Committee recommends moving forward with the supplement environmental site assessment as proposed by the consultant WSP. To this end, the committee recommends approval of change order number 2, supplement environmental site assessment payable to WSP EI Canada Limited in the amount of $41,154.85, HST included. And I so move.
Second.
It is moved by Councillor Antle, second by Councillor Rice. Any questions, council? Hearing, Councillor Fry? Yep.
This 49,154.85, is that just for the third site assessment? So I'm just going to ask the question. It's if we're paying this much money for a third environmental assessment study, and we've already done the first 2, why wouldn't we just take it all out and replace it? Is that like, how much would is that an option?
Thank you, Councillor Fry. This is a continuation of the investigation of contamination at the site. The third phase environmental site assessment happens when you are into more defined extent of contamination. And that's the extent to which we're at now. We've identified the contamination that's there, and this proposal is to determine the full extent and delineate the boundaries of where the contamination is to. Once we know the extent of the contamination, then we'll make a determination if it's a removal is an option or if it's a different form of mitigation. So right now, it's determining the extent of the contamination of the various materials that were identified in the site assessment phase 1 and 2.
Thank you, Director Antle. This is, just looking at the amount of money, and I thought maybe we could just dig it all out, but it's a lot more to that, isn't there? Yeah. Thank you.
Well, my question to follow that up is how big is the grid?
Thank you, Your Worship. I think you asked how big is the grid? At this point, the grid is, if everybody might know, the footprint of the old arena that was there. It's generally the footprint of the old arena, as well as a fair amount that's in front of the old arena. So there was materials on the site associated with the old arena that are presenting some of the contamination. So it's to Councillor Fry's question as well. This environmental material can be quite costly to remove and bring it to a treatment facility. So this idea right now is to ensure we know the extent so we can determine what the next step is to manage that.
All right, good stuff. Any other questions? I think as good environmental stewards, this is very prudent to carry on as we set out to do. Hearing no more comments, no hands up, I'll call the question for the change order. All in favor? Those opposed? Carried.
And the last one for me, Your Worship, is the most exciting one, I think. It's our municipal plan review and renew. We've been talking about this for quite some time now. It's including our integrated transportation plan and contract recommendation. The committee was advised that the request for proposals for a municipal plan review and renew, including our active integrated transportation plan, closed on October 16, 2023, and there were 2 submissions received. The Planning and Engineering Development Committee recommends that the contract for municipal plan review and renew, including active integrated transportation plan, be awarded to Track Consulting for the amount of $271,664.50. And I so move.
Second.
It is moved. It is moved by Councillor Randall, second by Councillor Rice. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Opposed, carried. Back to you, Councillor.
Just a couple of comments on the municipal plan, if I may. You know, right before I got into that, this municipal plan, this is something that's it's a blueprint for our city. It's something that we've been talking about for a long, long time. And if time gives us the chance, there's going to be lots of residential input. You know, it's on our website right now. We have Track Consulting. They're going to do engagements throughout the city. It's a real opportunity for our residents to become involved and say how you want your city to grow, how you want your transportation plan to be. You know, what type of housing do you want in the city? It's a real opportunity to sit down and guide us, tell us what you want to do. Track will be around and the consultants will be around. It's all innovative development opportunities. Whatever you think, it's a real opportunity to go on our website and take a look and give us some feedback. You know, we have to look at the new way of housing. You know, Mount Pearl is, you know, is not closed in, but we're 11 square kilometers. So for us to grow, we either had to grow up or grow out or grow in. So we really have to work on that, but we got to do it together. And I think this is a great plan. And over the next period of time, I hope that all residents are going to have a real opportunity to add input, because it's not our city, it's your city. And however we can do it properly, we're certainly excited. And I think this is one of the nicest things, one of the best things we saw since I've been on council, our new municipal plan. Thank you, Your Worship. Then I'll pass it on to my colleague, Councillor Wright.
No, thank you. It's visionary.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Councillor Rental, for that lead into what I got to say here about it. So we're all excited about the plan because I guess it's a vision, like Councillor Rental said, of what we want for the future of the city. And, you know, and I think 2 very important parts is that the residents of Mount Pearl got input into it. So, you know, everybody's opinion of where we want to go for the next, you know, 5, 10, 20 years. And part of this, I guess, excitement, I know that Director Rental is quite excited about this plan. And he shows us his enthusiasm every time that we talk about it, and excitement that shows in his face. And I can see that it, you know, it's important to him, and we certainly appreciate that, right? But the municipal plan determines a common vision for the growth of the city. I just want to hit a few key points on the innovation zoning will be for higher densities in the city. So when you talk about the city centre area and even outside the developments of North of Topsa Road or other areas that we're looking at developing right now, do we want higher densities in those areas? And the infill development and the redevelopment of our city centre, or even our, if there's areas in the city that we want to redevelop and look at, you know, smarter developments and smarter ways of developing our city. Also, public transit is very important here right now. I mean, we have, it has always been said that every house in the city of Mount Pearl got 2 cars in the driveway, but we got a lot of, you know, foreign people that moved, that's living in the city of Mount Pearl right now. And as you go around the city of Mount Pearl, you can see them walking around the street. So do they have public transit? So that's very important. Also, parking requirements are in the city. Public parking requirements in the city will be, I guess, looked at. And active transportation opportunities, like it's not only just about cars. So, you know, the city of Mount Pearl right now is looking at, you know, walking destinations, biking, bringing probably scooters into the city and other forms of transportation. So I think it's very important. And also our environmental regulations. I just want to mention that as well, because we have a lot of wetlands in the city and our trailway network, and we just approved a new trailway on the north side of the Waterford River. So that's important. That'll also be part of the new transportation study in the plan. So, you know, I can go on for an hour and talk about the plan, but really it's it's the, you know, the bones and the meat of all it. What do we really want for the city going forward? And what do the residents and, you know, if we want to have people move to the city of Mount Pearl, what can we do to make them move here? So that's part of what we're talking about. Thank you, Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Rice. Well said. Did people have their hands up over here? Because I have a blind spot when I'm looking left. Councillor Fry, then Councillor Locke. How's that sound?
Yeah, I just wanted to add add to what was said because this is really important. A municipal plan, every municipality has a municipal plan. And then that's your blueprint. That's what sets out your regulations. And then as things are amended, the amendments are added to it. And our current plan is pretty old and it's pages and pages and pages of amendments. So it's time for a refresh and to do it right. My only hope is that residents do participate because I know it can sound a bit boring, a municipal plan. But if we have a consultant that's going to help us put this together, it's so important that it's the vision of the residents and what they want from the city rather than people sitting behind a desk, you know? So I really, really hope that residents come out and give their input on what they want to see for their city. So I'm excited about this. I think it's something that's needed and it's going to be a great opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. And like Councillor Rice said, we could probably go on for an hour on this. The fact that we're committing $271,000 to this particular project speaks to the importance that this council places on this. And Mayor, I think you used the word visionary. Mount Pearl is known as a well-planned city, right back from the 60s. We're well-planned, and I've highlighted there multiple times that the city of Mount Pearl was used as a case study in one of the textbooks I used when I taught Canadian geography from an urban planning perspective. So this is going to set the stage going forward. And I know my colleagues, Councillor Rice and Councillor Antle outlined some of the specifics here, but it's going to require some bold movement here. Councillor Rice mentioned intensification and infilling, and we got to look at going up, building up. So we're going to have to increase the height of buildings because we have to adapt to the changing environment. Anybody who's following demographics, you know, your demographics are your future, as the saying goes, and our population is shrinking in the city of Mount Pearl. And we have to recruit newcomers, as Councillor Rice said. So we have newcomers coming to the city. You can see them at our different events and at bus stops and in our grocery stores and our recreational facilities. And they're used to using public transit. They're used to living in higher densities. So from a sustainability perspective, to keep Mount Pearl sustainable, we have to change the way we're doing things. And it's going to result in change. And that's why, to Councillor Fry's point, I'm encouraged and I'm excited. And I think we will get considerable uptake from our residents because we saw that when we had the Find Your Centre City Renewal Plan. There was a lot of people eager to come out and say, listen, this is where the city centre is in Mount Pearl, and this is what we'd like to see. They recommended changes or some upgrades to our trailways and the T-railway and the like, and lighting on the paths and stuff like that. Well, this is going to determine what the city of Mount Pearl is going to look like in 2050. And they have an opportunity to put that here. But like I said, it's going to come with some change. And humans by nature are not comfortable with change. So it's going to require some changes to our thinking, to our sight lines, to getting used to seeing higher buildings, more intensification, different modes of active transportation, be it electric scooters, electric wheelchairs, scooters, e-bikes, pedestrians, skateboards. So this is a significant piece of work. So I'm super excited about this, and I'm confident that our residents will too, once they realize the importance of this, that they will make contributions. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you all very much. And I'm going to throw out, like I usually do, a couple of challenges. To ensure the process of engagement is really genuine, I think we're going to have to show, more to your point, Councillor Locke, as well as yours, Councillor Wright, some leadership. But when I say leadership, not to change the city overnight, leadership in the engagement process. We're going to have to put out there what you just said. I think that will inspire I'm using hopefully a diplomatic word, our residents to come out and tell us whether that's the right approach. I think for us to sit back and just poll our residents about a municipal plan, what they think it is going forward, might not get the level of engagement that we want. But we have to be prepared for positive and negative engagement. And at the end of the day, I think we'll have positive outcomes. And I think that's the goal of council at the end of the day. I'm also looking for the support of staff and council to ensure that it's still business as usual with the city. We are going to be supporting the municipal plan review, which could take upwards of, well, the remainder of this year for sure. Meanwhile, there are developers, there are people who are looking to develop or redevelop right now. I really want to just seek some insurance, probably from UCAO, because we've had this conversation, all of us privately, that it will be business as usual for the city of Mount Pearl. Even though we do recognize we're at a fork in the road in terms of our future. But there are projects on our plate, and I know committee is working on those. And I think we just need to have a frank discussion about, while the planning portion is going to proceed, CAO, we're still going to be able to get development going in the city. We're not putting everything on hold.
Thanks, Mayor. Absolutely. We won't be putting everything on hold. And we have a list of, key development priorities that we're reviewing now to try to see which ones need to be advanced quickly. And always being considerate of the municipal plan review and not making decisions now that we might think, had we moved too fast or should we reverse? So while we have the context of the municipal plan review and what we hope to achieve, we're certainly not putting on hold development in the city, and it is business as usual.
We are open for business, and we look forward to the engagement, the process, and ideally a great outcome for the future of our city. Why don't we move back to the agenda? Thanks, everybody. Great discussion from staff as well as council. Over to you, Councillor Rice, I believe.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, so we're finish off our PED. We got two more items there on our agenda. Number 4 is a building occupancy permit listing from January the 15th to January 26th, 2024. So the Planning, Engineering, Development Committee recommends that the residential and commercial building permits issued for this period, showing a total construction value of $234,650 be approved, and further that the occupancy permit list be accepted as presented. And I so move.
Moved by Councillor Rice, seconded by Councillor Antle. Let me wade down through it. You're moving it all, basically. Commercial, residential, part 1, part 2, part 3, for total 259. All in favor? Those opposed? Thank you. Motion carried. On to number 5.
Thank you, Your Worship. Number 5, we had our development permit listing from January the 15th till January the 26th, 2024. So the Planning, Engineering, Development Committee recommends that the following development permits be approved as presented for the period of January the 15th to January 26th. You'll see 3 there in your kit. 5 to 7 Commonwealth Avenue, 22 Pollock Drive, and 48 Moffat Drive. And I so move.
Again, moved by Councillor Rice, thank you, and second by Councillor Antle, thank you. I think we approved the family childcare in a previous council meeting in terms of I think it was a discretionary use. Council, any questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Contraminded? And carried.
Thank you, Your Worship. That's it for our listing. Now I'll pass it over to my colleague, Councillor Lane, for our
Corporate Services and Public Works, thank you. Councillor Lane.
Thank you very much. Council, as you can see there before you, we have the invoices for approval. And I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Lane, thank you, and thank you, Councillor Rice, for the seconding. You see a number of invoices here. They're really ramping up, isn't it? You can tell we're moving right along this year. Any questions, Council, for Councillor Lane? Hearing none, I'll move the question. All in favor? Contraminded? Carried.
The second thing on our agenda is the payment register and purchase card report, and this is for the information of council. You can see there before you. The following payment register for February 1st to February 16th, 2024 totaled $1,126,674.91, and the purchase card report for December 26th, 2023 to January 25th, 2024 totaled $468,179.33. And that was just for information purposes. And I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Councillor Rice.
Thank you, Worship. Thank you, Councillor Lane. Number 3 is our professional development request. This request is for the Director of Planning, Engineering Development, Director Antle, for the 2024 American Concrete Institute Convention. So the Corporate Services and Public Works Committee recommends the Director of Planning, Engineering Development to attend the 2024 American Concrete Institute Convention from March the 24th to March the 28th, 2024 in New Orleans, LA. And I so move.
Moved by Councillor, nice try, Councillor Antle. Moved by Councillor Rice and seconded by Councillor Lane. All in favor? Those opposed? Motion carried.
Good job, Councillor Antle there. So our last part of on our agenda for corporate service and public works is our information and our status reports. So this one here, the first one is our public works status report. So the following status report is provided for information only. So our roads winter shifts continues for the 2023-2024 season. Quite busy, as everybody's seen the last week. The primary focus this week, and I guess for the next couple of weeks, is on snow clearing and ice control, as work continues with snow removal from city streets, sidewalks, cul-de-sacs, fire hydrants, islands, etc. Staff have been quite busy the last week, and they're going to be pretty busy for, I'm sure, for the next couple of weeks. As of February 14th, all outdoor rinks are closed. They're pretty well full of snow, but so we're just concentrating now on the main streets and areas. The city's website can be checked for further information on all the rinks and daily status updates on which the rinks are open or if they're closed. Parks, trail grooming. Just want to mention that trail grooming is ongoing when time and weather permits, depending on the conditions, what's allowed at that time. Preparation and takedown are being carried out for the Frosty Festival, which concluded on Saturday night. So staff, when they get the time, they'll be, I guess, cluing up on the Frosty Festival takedown. And part of our fleet, is our service and maintenance is ongoing. And we had a conversation yesterday at our meeting, corporate services and public works meeting, that with the amount of time that our snow plows and all of our snow clearing equipment has been used over the last week, I guess we got repairs. So we got maintenance crew and repair technicians in 24/7 now. We're repairing that. All snow clearing equipment is ready for the 2023-2024 season and requires continuous inspection and preventative maintenance. And our UTM, general calls, plug sewers, service locates, new water and sewer service inspections, camera inspections, troubleshooting. Our water and sewer repairs are ongoing. Lift station inspections and maintenance is ongoing. And our the last part is our water levels at Bay Bulls Big Pond as of February the 12th, 2024, and maintaining at 35 feet. So everything is all good for corporate services and public works, and that's the end of our report, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rice. Sort of following up on that, and before we do the round table, I'd like to ask Director Dalamont, because we've had 80 centimeters of snow in the last 5 or 6 days. We've had 3 iterations of storms. Thankfully, Director, the trend is getting lower. You know, it was 45, and then it was 25, and then it was 10. So I don't know what Thursday holds, but as of right now, supper time on Tuesday, you know, the snow ended about 48 hours ago. Where do we stand?
Well, thank you. So right now, what we've been concentrating on up to this date is that we've, our big blowers with the volume of snow that's on the city streets now, there's not a whole lot of pushback and cleanup required. There's more blowback that's required. So as of this afternoon, we had most all, if not all, the main drags blown back to what we think is satisfactory. And we've started to reach out into some of the secondary and some of the neighborhoods to do some blowback in that area. As part of that as well, we have a crew doing our fire hydrants, which should be completed within the next couple of days. And as part of that as well, as mentioned, we're removing snow from cul-de-sacs. We generally start off on our smaller cul-de-sacs first obviously because of the snow volume into them. And we'll continue on with that process 24/7 until we are well ahead of our any predicted snowfall in the near future. The concern with this coming Thursday is again with the mild temperatures and rain. As part of that as well is that we're trying to get back and clean up all the neighborhoods with blowback. So we open up all the catch basins in the event that there is any significant amount of rain.
Thank you very much. Council, any questions related to snow clearing? Councillor Fry? Yeah.
Not a question, but more so just a statement. Director Dalimona, I think the crews did a great job this time. Well, they always do. But I can tell you, I was getting ready to go to bed the other night. It was about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I looked out and there was a snowblower. And the person coming before him was just out in the cold. Here I am in my warm house getting ready to go to bed. And they were out there in the middle of the night. And I don't know if I've ever been so grateful to them. And I know that sometimes you get good and bad comments, but I just want to pass along a sincere thank you because I thought they did a great job. And the snow this time around, not just the volume, but the heavy, the consistency of the snow, of course, was difficult as well. And so it's not so much a question. I just want to say how proud we are and how grateful we are to your crew. Thank you. Please pass that along for me.
Yeah, I've received a lot of compliments and, I do objectively listen to some of the complaints and the issues because there could be something to it. But, I know Sylvia Murphy said, there was an ambulance and a fire truck showed up for an emergency on her street, and she really thanked our staff for aiding in that particular situation to make sure the people in that circumstance were helped out and made safer as a result. So, there's little stories, and they're the ones, Councillor Fry, I think are the most touching in it all. Yeah. And I recognize, sir, the challenge we have when we get multiple storms back to back. It's just not about the quantity. Unfortunately, it has to be a reset and a restart, doesn't it? Yeah. All right, I'm going to move, and you feel free, folks, to talk about anything current in the city, including the storms, but I'm going to start the roundtable. Councillor Antle, who has a nice pink shirt on today.
Thank you, Your Worship. I was told I had to wear pink. I like wearing pink, so it's a good thing. All right, I'll be quick. Most of mine is all thank yous. First off, I'd like to thank I'm sure we all going to do the same thing. We just finished 10 days of Frosty Festival. As the committee just talked about, we're doing, we just paid our second installment. But one thing I found with the Frosty Festival, and I'm sure we all are the same way, we get a chance to meet all the residents. We get a chance to have a chat and talk, and they can let us know their feelings and how things, and most times to let us know how if we're doing a good job or a bad job, but it's good to chat with these people. Our board did a fabulous job. I mean, everywhere we went, we had so many volunteers out helping us. So, Frosty, it's a festival, but it brings us all together. So hats off. We did a great job. I think they all did a good job. To our snow clearing crew, we just said they're doing a fabulous job. We'd be lost without them. But we shared on our website there a couple of days ago some do's and don'ts for the winter. And I thought it was just a couple of things we could talk about. Last night I was out for a little walk. And one of the things we have on our site is be visible. When you're out walking, wear bright colors, wear a reflective vest. It's hard enough now when the sidewalks are just being cleared, but they're not cleared well enough yet. If you're out walking, wear those reflective vests because we certainly don't want to have a fatality or an accident on our streets. And that's everything else for me, Your Worship. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Councillor Rice is up.
Thank you, Your Worship. I got a few items there, but they're short. So first, I'd like to say a big congratulations to the Mount Pearl Blades 15U team, male team. They were competed at a tournament in Montreal this past weekend. One of the guys plays hockey with me, actually one of the coaches on the team, so I sent a message to him, and he sent a text to me, and he said they were in the championship game. I said, good luck, and then he put a post up saying that they won gold. So they won a gold medal on Sunday morning with a 5-3 win over the Westwood, Massachusetts team from down in Boston. The Blades took home, so they were in the Can-Am Challenge Cup, is what they were in. Anyway, it's good to see. I'm not going to name all the members of the team off, but a big congratulations to that 15U team. Mount Pearl Blades are always coming home with medals. The second one, I too want to say big congratulations to the Public Works crew on the big commitment, the huge commitment. I know it's their job to do the work they done, but I think I just want to say that when I looked at other areas around our beautiful city, you can certainly see that that we have a golden service here in the city of Mount Pearl, and they take pride in doing great work. And I just want to pass along Director Dalamont and his staff to pass along big congratulations that they've done a phenomenal job. And there's no trouble to know that they take pride in their work. Also, I want to say the Frosty Festival was a phenomenal 10 days of events, and I think almost every council member attended every event. A couple events got cancelled, but hats off to the organisers and the board. Anybody that took part, if you volunteered or if you attended the event or if you helped out in any way, it was a huge success as always. And I think that's our Mount Pearl is a signature part, to have the Frosty Festival event here in the city. Been on the go for 42 years. It's a long time. I've been in the city for 34 years, and it's been we attended almost every year, and just want to say it's phenomenal every year, and I'm looking forward to it again next year. And the last one I have is I just want to say personally pass along my condolences to Elizabeth Lowry's family. Like all councillors, when we attend MNL or if we go to a facility, FCM that's at the province, we always get together and have a chat, especially when you're in the province of Newfoundland. You could be from Goose Bay, or you could be from down in Balleen or Gander or City of Mount Pearl. But, we always stick together and we always have lunch together or, attend the events together. And, I just want to pass along my sincere condolences to the family. Such a young, but she was a phenomenal person with such a young family with 2 young kids left. It breaks my heart. And I just want to pass along my sincere condolences to the family and friends. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. Councillor Lane is next.
Thank you very much. Just a few for me. I just want to highlight a couple of the Frosty Festival events that I attended that I think are so important. So first one I'd like to highlight is the Park Kids Carnival. And that happened at the Park Avenue Pentecostal Church. And I just have to say, I think this event is so important. And Pastor Kent and all the members of the church, they spend so much time, effort, and resources putting this event together. So it's a bunch of, carnival games for anyone to play. There's free food, there's drinks, there's entertainment. And I was talking to Pastor Kent at this event, and he said that, they do whatever they can to make sure that they can have this every year because it reaches such a diverse demographic of people. And I think that as a community, it's so important to offer as many free events as we can because it gives an opportunity for anyone to get out and to have fun and to get to be a kid, and not everyone has the time, the resources to do that all the time. So whenever we have opportunities to do that, I think is so important. So a huge thank you to Pastor Kent and all the members of the Pentecostal Church and volunteers for putting in their time and effort to have that event. And I look forward to attending it again next year. I also attended the ecumenical church service, and that's always fabulous. It's so nice to join in worship with all of the different church communities here in our city. And I think it was really well attended. And I look forward to attending that as well next year. And I hope that we get more and more people attend because it's so great to see the whole church community brought together as one. And lastly, for me, tomorrow is Pink Shirt Day, which is why you see council wearing pink today. And that's always so important because we wear pink to bring awareness to bullying. And bullying is very much still alive, unfortunately, and it truly affects the lives of anyone who has been bullied in the past or is currently being bullied. And this day is important because it helps students realize that they're not alone. So I hope that everyone remembers to wear their pink shirt tomorrow and help stand up for bullying because no one deserves to be treated unfairly. And, in today's day and age, people should know better and we should treat people with respect and kindness. And that's it for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Counselor Fry.
Yeah, I'm sorry I had to step away. I'm a little under the weather tonight, so I apologize for that. Counselor Lane, I guess you spoke of the pink shirt day. I wanted to mention that as well because of the significance of it, and especially with the recent happenings that we've had here in our city over the last number of weeks or months. I think it's extremely important. And I'm glad you spoke of it as a teacher too, because I'm sure you see it that way. And I'm so happy to see so many people wearing pink tonight. I don't know if you mentioned, but it was actually started in 2007 in Nova Scotia by two young guys, David Shepard and Travis Pike. And the reason they started it was because a new student had worn a pink shirt and he had been bullied for wearing this pink shirt. So these two boys got together and they got 50 t-shirts and they shared it with their students, with their fellow students, and they all stood up for bullying. And it never underestimate the impact that one or two individuals can have. It doesn't take much to make an effort. And now look at it; it's grown so big. I too would also like to speak of, excuse me, speak of the Frosty Fest. Right.
We'll pass it over to Counselor Locke, and we'll get back to Counselor Fry in a second.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I too was going to mention the anti-bullying campaign. Having taught, for 28 years, I know the importance of that, to offer support. But let's also mention as well that while the children are dealing with bullying antics as well, it's not just children that we need to focus on. There's corporate bullying and bullying amongst adults and that. So let's just send a message out there that, care and respect for everybody, and treat everyone with respect. Councillor Lane did mention, the fun events at the Pentecostal Church and the great work down there. But I want to acknowledge the Lions because they had a similar event at the Gloria Pearson Center during Frosty. And I could not believe the turnout. I mean, the place was absolutely on wheels up there. There were so many young people out and just having a great time. So again, our Lions are involved, we know, with our Santa Claus parade, but they're involved with so many other events. And there was a lot of energy in the building that night. So I commend the Lions for taking that on as well. I just want to pick up on something that Councillor Rice mentioned about the outdoor rinks being closed. But I would suggest that that's closed. If say some people want to go and shovel it off, when we say they're closed, does that mean no one can be on those? I mean, if I wanted to go there with a shovel and clear it off, I would like to think that it's not like it's out of bounds.
All in
Can I
favor?
get some
Motion
direction
carried.
for that, Mayor, if I could?
Yes, so that's a great question. Yes, if residents by all means want to, take their time and remove the snow from the ice rinks. I don't know what the actual surface is like and underneath, but yeah, by all means.
I just want a point of clarification because having grown up in Mount Pearl, we used to hike into George's Pond and we never knew what the ice surface was like until we got there. And we would clear off Branscomb's Pond so by all means. So I just wanted to make sure they're closed. Not that they're closed, it's just that we can't dedicate the resources to them until we get the other cleanup. But they're free to use if someone wants to take the initiative and clear them off. That's great to hear. The other thing, getting back to snow and ice and the like, we did have some commentary. I had a couple of comments actually, via text and also in person, asking council, is there anything we can do with snowplow operators that clean residential driveways and the impact, not always, because sometimes they're able to do it and deposit the snow, sufficiently. But in many cases, well, the cases that I heard, the operators came in with their pickup trucks and plows. Yes, they pushed and cleared driveway X, but much of the snow ended up on the road that later ended up deposited in the neighbor's driveway. And that's what frustrated them. So I know, for example, with Canada Post, I have the super mailboxes across the street from my place. And in past years, they did have a plow on a pickup truck that was responsible. But this year they had one of those tractors with a bucket on it. And they did a much better job from clearing it to dumping it. Now, albeit some of it still ended up on the road because of the volume, but it was much tidier than in past years when they just came with a pickup truck. So I said I would raise it here that, it is a concern. But I also said it's difficult because there are many people in our city that aren't physically able to clear their own driveways. So they rely on these pickup trucks and these contractors that are clearing the snow. But so it's that balancing act, isn't it? It's trying to ensure that, if these truck drivers are plowing the snow, that they keep in mind to keep it off our carriageways and our sidewalks and, deposit. And I understand in this circumstance under, the extreme snow we had, these trucks are they're not able to actually deposit the snow at a higher elevation. So I'll put that out there maybe for discussion around one of our committee tables to see if there's anything at all that can be done to, even if it's to education and inform these contractors to, just keep it in their mind that when they're getting the snow, the focus shouldn't just be on clearing that driveway. It's ensuring that the roads are left in good order when they're finished as well. And the last one for me, I don't know, again, we had some residents reach out on, I think it was Sunday when we, decided to keep, our recreation facilities closed for the day. And they said, well, it was sunny in the afternoon. But like I explained to the folk there, our staff are doing circuits of the city, and our crews were dedicated on keeping the streets opened, residential streets, blowback, pushback. And while we did do some snow clearing on the parking lots, the emergency doors were drifting back in quite rapidly because the summit is at a high elevation and the wind. So it becomes a decision. Do you want to dedicate resources to parking lots and keeping exit doors open, or the resources that we have to the road? So it's a judgment call. And like I assured the residents, we have professional, dedicated staff that do rounds of the city to make sure that they make a call that's based on their observations and their professionalism. And I know my colleagues commended our crews, and I too want to throw it out there. They did a great job, and we were coming home from the event Saturday night, my wife and I, and my wife commented, she said, Jim, look at the sidewalks. They're down to the concrete coming down Smallwood Drive Extension. She said, our snow clearing is absolutely amazing. And it is. We pay for it. We pay for the high level of service, but we have a dedicated, qualified, professional crew that provides that high level of service. And that's it for me, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. And back to Councillor Fry before I close.
The only time the whole meeting that I had a coffee fit was when it was my turn to talk. So I just have a couple of things here. But no. Thank you. That was embarrassing. Just a couple of things for me. I too also want to mention the Frosty Festival. And the one thing that I noticed about the Frosty Festival events this year, probably maybe it's just this year that I noticed it more, but I thought that the people that were there were so engaged. They weren't just there watching a show. They were engaged in it, and it was wonderful to see. And they were so well attended, and people certainly enjoyed it. And I looked around and I said, how often do we have the opportunity to see people like this? Just what a nice way just to see neighbors and friends. Way I could talk on about that, but I just want to get through more things. Excuse me. The other thing that I wanted to mention, talking about community and community feel and community spirit. During the snowstorm, there was a group of people, a number of people who helped out other individuals and other residents. And you look around at people helping people get out of their driveways. I mean, it's a lot of work and it's not easy for anybody, but for people to go out of their way to help others. You look at people like John Rich coordinated a group of volunteers to get together to help people. I mean, it's just so wonderful to see. So whenever there's something bad, there's always something good as well. And I just want to throw that out there because that is true community. And finally, for me, on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, the community supper is being sponsored by the Connect Club of Mount Pearl. And that's pick up anybody who would like to have a hot meal, could pick it up. Excuse me. Between 5 and 6 p.m. at the Church of the Good Shepherd. The meal this year is fried bologna, fried onions, baked beans, creamy mashed potatoes, a dinner roll, and a mini banana bread. So it's going to be a nice meal. So if you know of anybody who could use a hot meal at no cost for the community supper, swing by the Church of the Good Shepherd on Wednesday. And the Mount Pearl Connect Club are doing it as part of their Day of Kindness that they do every year, and that's what they chose this year. And that's it for me, Your Worship. I sincerely apologize for the inconvenience. And thank you, Councillor Locke, for stepping in for me. Thank you.
Yep, thanks, everybody. It was a very good, long discussion. A lot of stuff on the go in the middle of February here in the city of Mount Pearl. But this is the time of the year that the word frosty collides with the word snow. So, it's, in my experience, we always seem to get a storm around the time of the Frosty Festival. I'm not blaming the committee or the volunteers, but that's just this seems to be the way it happens. And unfortunately, many of us go all out for the Frosty Festival, and it ends up creating a thing called the Frosty Flu. And I just want to acknowledge Councillor Fry has taken one for the team tonight, and I sincerely hope you're feeling better soon. And with that, I'm going to call for a motion. Councillor Lane, second by Councillor Fry. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Yeah, I see.